Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Kristen. This is my second video on YouTube. Usually you can find me on Instagram at k.honghobbies, but I mentioned this in my first video. I am here to show you all things Hobonichi and hobby related and just fun things in general in a long form because I like to yap. In my first video, I took you along with the intro to my Hobonichi. I showed you all of the monthlies and the year at a glance and all of the things that are at the beginning of the journal. This is what mine looks like in all its glory. I love it. It is super fun and chunky. We are now in July as I'm recording this, so she has gotten pretty chunky, but what I wanted to show you today is January in my 2025 Hobonichi. Last year I was in a Techo, which is like the small Hobonichi, and this year I'm in the Cousin, which is quite large compared to that one. And so January was a really fun time for me to figure out what I was doing with all of this space. Spoiler alert, I love having this much space. Last year it was a little bit too small for me. So I had a blast in January, and I've also had a blast as we've gone along halfway into the year. So let's take a look at January in my Hobonichi. All right, so again, here is the cover page. I have some stickers, my spending tracker. Green is no spend, yellow means necessary spending, and red means unnecessary spending. In January, I actually did a pretty good job. We had a lot of green, we had a lot of goals. We had just bought our house in December, so we were really trying to save money, and it was pretty successful besides the weekends. So that looks good. Also in January, I am no longer doing this, but I had some birthdays and some events that I didn't want to forget. So that was January. Here is the monthly for January. What I do is I have like a highlight of the day. So I love this because it just shows off what was happening each day at a glance. So I kind of mentioned this in the first video, but you know, it could be something as small as going to the gym for the first time. We bought bar stools for our house, so that was exciting, and I put them together. There was a lot of snow in January, but yeah, it's just a good time. I read 5 books, I believe, in January, so these first books I put in here. Again, here's just my books read. I cried 7 times in January, so you can take a look at those here. Some of it was for things that were like serious, but also other times we're just watching a movie or reading a book. And that's what I love about being an emotional girly. I have a goal of getting 8,000 steps a day. In January, I did it 8 times. And honestly, for it being cold, I'll take that as a win. This is in pencil, but it's places I visited, just so that I can remember it. And in January, I went to Panama City for my grandma's funeral. Here is my vision board for 2025 that I created in January. And then here is my photo of the month for January. It's me and all my cousins. And here are my dailies. So every month I have a cover page that I doodle. A lot of times I get the inspiration from Pinterest or just my brain. So this was disco themed. First day, Happy New Year, of course. This was also the playoffs for college football, I believe, so I had to show it off. I was cheering for Texas to win it all, I believe, at this point, or Oregon, and so it ended up being against Texas and Ohio State. This day is interesting because when I was on Amy Y'all's podcast, she asked about a page I might not necessarily love in my journal, and I would actually say this is it because of the color combo. I thought that this was gonna hit so hard. It's gonna be a light pink and a maroon, and for some reason it just doesn't go well, in my opinion. And I've learned to love it, but I just am okay with this being at the beginning of the year and never having to look at it again. But yeah, first day back at work, had a lot of emails, lots of appointments, and then just like kind of figuring out what work was, being off for 2 weeks. Here is the day I was talking about with buying bar stools. I took the plastic bag that all of the screws were in and put it in here, and then I cut up like the instructions for the bar stools. Here's what they look like, but brown. And so I put them all in here, and I love that. We also cooked steak, potatoes, and broccoli at home, and I said Texas Roadhouse who, because when you have someone in your house that cooks so well, you don't have to worry about it. It's not me, it's my spouse. The next day we had crab legs, which I am obsessed with. I'm always trying to get crab legs, but they're so expensive. But for some reason in January, they were not, but they were still delicious. So we had lots of those. We invited my in-laws over. It was snowy. We bundled up. It was just a great Saturday. Then I got my hair done. And what I love about having a relationship with your hairstylist is that we can do silly things together and just like be goofy. So what I always have her do is like, you know how on Instagram, you do the before and after just to show off like how good your hairstylist is. Well, we did that and I made sure to come like with unbrushed hair. I had her like mess it up even more. And so it looks insane. And then now it looks amazing. And it was. And then I had her write me a note so I could put it in my journal. I literally said, can you write me a note to put in my journal? Then it was the first day back in the office. I work at a university, so that was super fun to get back into. I was remote for a while and then I had to go back in the office. And so this was just everything I found in my office. It was like things, this was made from one of my students. These were stickers that were related to my university. And then of course my business card. Then, like I mentioned, I love getting my steps in. So 8,000 steps, but because it's cold and I don't want to be outside in January ever, I have a walking pad that my husband got me, and so that's what I did. I walk with my Chacos. I don't know why. It just feels better than walking in my tennis shoes, and so that's these guys. I used vellum paper for these words and then just doodled on the actual paper itself. Wednesday, first orientation of the season, and whoa baby, do we do a lot more. I used to work in an office where there wasn't as much orientation in January, so it's just getting used to all of that. So things I'm thankful for: my coworkers, friends I can vent to, Lexapro, internet and Zoom, and Zumba. Then this day I went back to the gym, and I love when I have those like ideas in my head that come to fruition on the page. So like in the middle of the night, I thought about doing a muscle growing on vellum paper. And I just love how this came about. So obviously I'm swole, so I have all of this muscle. And then I went to Pinterest to find this like inspo for the letters. These are fun nights. This is just when we're home. It says adulthood is getting excited about new pots and pans. Shout out to my parents for getting these for us. They were just like, hey, we want to give you a housewarming present. What do you want? And we were like, listen, we have pots and pans, but we don't have big ones. And so these are like ginormous skillet. It's a ginormous skillet and it's a ginormous pot. And the amount of times now that we've used it, oh my gosh, it's like paid for itself tenfold. This page is another one that I don't super love. And what I'm learning is that it is definitely like a color combo thing that I don't like, because this was pretty boring as far as, in my opinion, this was pretty boring. But I did want to show like what this day was, because I did a lot. We went to H Mart, we went grocery shopping, I put more bar stools together, and then I had presents from the in-laws. And so like that was a busy day. It was a fun day. And it was just like really plain. I didn't have the words behind it. And then I was like, well, I need something. So then I did the words, and I like that. But again, I think it's just the color combo that's not super great for me. So still working on that, but overall glad that I was able to fix it with something. Next, and you'll probably see this a lot coming through, I am a diehard Eagles fan. Being in Philadelphia for this long, it is in my blood now at this point. And so I definitely put that in my Hobonichi all the time. This was one of our games that we won, and I loved that AJ Brown was reading on the sidelines. We were winning by a decent amount that they actually took him out to save him for other games. I know if you don't care about football, it doesn't matter. But the most important part is that he was reading, and that actually caused this book to go to like the #1 spot on the nonfiction or something like that. Yeah, so it was just really great. Go Birds. So then the next one is just a typical Monday. A lot of times things don't necessarily happen during the week, so I have to like get creative about what I want to use and what I want to say. And so this was a good one. I was surprisingly not as busy, so talked about that. But then my sister sent me some old school pictures of myself, and not much has changed, but I love dressing up and just being silly. And so what my sister would do is she would have me dress up and then take pictures of me. I mean, I am style. Look at that fit. Those glasses, come on. Now, yes, this was in our bathroom, so ignore the toilet, but great times. I have gotten really into collaging this year, and so what I wanted to do for this one was kind of recreate the Bad Bunny album cover with collages, and so that was really fun. I took a bunch of just trees and things, and I was just constantly listening to the new Bad Bunny album on this day, and since then, yeah, so it says listening to Bad Bunny while walking into work is a vibe, and I stand by that. Then my best friends and I from high school are all over the nation and also all over just in general. And so we wanted to keep up with each other more than just like once a year when we like get together for Christmas stuff. What I saw on TikTok was something called Waffle Wednesday, where every Wednesday you talk about what you're looking forward to that week, what's happened, just keeping us in the know with each other. And it's been really cool to see because we've kept up with it. But this was the first one. So yeah, I just printed out all of our Waffle Wednesday conversations and kept them in here to remember. And then used vellum for these waffles. Next day was my best friend Mackenzie's birthday. I FaceTimed her, and this was the first time I had FaceTimed her since she's had her baby, and I'm just obsessed with her baby. He is the most precious thing in the whole wide world, and I can't wait to meet him. They live all the way in New Zealand, so FaceTime it is. But yeah, this was great. And then I also got an order from Megan from at Carrots Journals, and she gave me a bunch of freebies, and so I had to put that in here. The next day was what we call Sexy Santa instead of Secret Santa, because we graduated in 2011 and our like thing for the seniors in high school was like sexy with the XI. And so we've just held on to that because it's just so easy to refer to us as that. So this is the Sexy Santa. So we all get assigned a person, and then we Zoom and open up the presents. So I got a bunch of journaling things, shocker. I got some stickers, some markers, and then a glass that I use all the time now for my iced coffee. Thanks, Katie. This one, we went to Habitat for Humanity Restore, and years ago, it used to be a huge room filled with tons of rugs, and you would just go into this giant room and just have to like search through mountains and mountains of rugs. So I was like, all right, Chris, perfect. We will be able to find a rug for our house there. It's so cheap. It's like used rugs, whatever. And we go in and it's just this like one little room, but we were able to find a perfect rug for our living room. Like it matches everything perfectly. It was like $80, I think it was, and it's huge. So it's such a good deal. So I kind of tried to recreate the colors. Terrible color combo. I think the brown just kind of took it over the edge, but that's fine because it still kind of showcases the like shape of the rug, and that's kind of what I was going for. And then we talked about what we did. So we went to Home Depot, we moved the living room around, and then people came over. So that was really fun. Okay, so again, we had another football game. This time we went over to our friend Ryan's house to watch it, and I said my heart rate was too high during the game. And listen, I get it. If you're not a sports person, having a high heart rate watching a game sounds insane, and it is. I recognize that it is, but in this case, my heart rate was 117, so I had to take a picture of that because again, that's unreal. What the heck, Kristen? Get your crap together. And so I used some stickers as well to kind of showcase it. This day, not much happened, except my parents live in Florida currently, and it never snows there, and it actually did snow. And so my mom made this cute little snowman. And honestly, it's like the cutest snowman I've ever seen in my entire life. She took a sock, cut it up, and put a scarf and a hat on it, and I'm obsessed. So obviously I had to document that, and I said my mom made the cutest snowman I think I've ever seen. This is my child now. Of course, Florida, it was melted the next day, so pour one out. And then of course, just we heart public transportation. The next day, it was so cold here in Philadelphia. I was bundled up. I collaged myself. This was so much fun to do also. If you ever want to try it, I highly suggest it. But I literally was just bundled up with my thickest jacket, my thickest sweaters, a scarf, a hat, gloves, the whole nine. And I was so cold. So obviously I had to say that 8-degree weather is for the birds, and I don't mean the eagles, because I hated it. I hated every second, but I was in the office ready to go. And then it snowed in Florida, and it's so fun seeing everyone excited, especially my parents. They are literally the cutest human beings in the whole world. My mom was actually mimicking me from like a trip I took a long time ago, and there's a boomerang of me like throwing snow up, and so she took a video of herself doing the same thing. So freaking cute. And then my dad was just taking a video of him just like turning around so you could see all of the snow falling on him, and he was like so excited. So we must protect them at all costs. Next, I try and do a word of the year every year, and a lot of times I do forget about it, to be honest. And so that's what I love about journaling, is that I can actually come back to it. Because again, now that I've been flipping through January a decent amount, just looking back at what I've journaled, I keep coming back to this word. So it's really cool to see that. And like, especially because it's written so big, I can be like, oh yeah, reform is my word of the year. And so I just kind of wrote a little bit about that and like why I chose that and what was going on. Then some stuff was happening, but like not anything too specific to put on this day. So I actually did like a weekly report, which is reading, eating, playing, obsessing over, recommending, and treating yourself to. So that was really fun. Highly recommend all of these things. Treating myself to nothing. We just bought a house. This day we had a girls' night, and I am the candy salad girl now. Thank you, Amy and Megan, for giving me that inspiration. But yeah, so I make the candy salad basically for every get together now. This is the first one I think I did of the year. And so I wanted to remember this candy salad because it was so good. We did not so sour punch bites, which those are fire. I didn't even realize that they were not so sour until we started eating them, and I wasn't like puckering my mouth up crazy. And those are so good. Nerds gummy clusters, of course, peach rings, and sweet tart ropes cut up into bite-sized pieces. Immaculate. 10 out of 10 recommend. And so then what I did was I took like some of the rest of the packaging and made them as the background and the decorations. And then we also do every year a book white elephant, where we all bring a book and switch it around. And so these were the girls that participated, and so of course we had to show off our books. Next was a get together for my cousin-in-law's grandma, who we hang out with all the time. She was turning 93, so she had a great life. And so this was a day that we went out together at Georgine's. It's an Italian restaurant in Northeast Philly, and it was good. The best part was spending time with Chris's cousins. I love spending time with them. They're so freaking cute, and it was just fun to hang out with them. I hadn't seen them in a while. The next day, Eagles were the NFC champs. I really wanted hot pot, so we had hot pot that night, and so I put hot pot and heart palpitations. I'm pretty proud of that, and it's accurate. Then the next day I was getting sick, so Chris and his mom had all of the ingredients for an Eastern medicine sweat session, I guess you would call it, but I mean, we also just refer to it as the sauna. So you take a giant pot and you put lemongrass, orange peels, and peppermint oil in it, and you just boil all of it until it gets steaming hot. And then you take like a comforter or some kind of blanket, put it over yourself while you're sitting on like a stool, open the lid, and just like get it all in your system, sweat it out until you can't handle it anymore, and then go take a shower. And honestly, I think it works. And even if it doesn't like fully work, it still makes you feel good and you get it all sweated out. The next couple of days are going to Panama City. I took a half day off of work and then went to Panama City. Had a layover in Atlanta, so got great wraps for dinner. Obviously had to use my gate check sticker in here and just another one here. I never check a bag, but they made me check my bag, my carry-on, because the flight was so small. My friend Emily sent me a card that day as well, just for a random snail mail, and I loved it, so obviously had to put it in here. And then the next day was my grandma's funeral. She lived a great life. She had dementia, so it was just time for her to go. And so we were able to just enjoy the memories that we had. People told all the happy things that they thought of with her, and this was really cool because, let me see if I can show it to you. she actually made a bunch of clothes of her own and had her own tag. And so I took a picture of this from one of the dresses that she had made and put it in here. Shout out Greta. I'd like to think that she's where I got all of my like hobby love from, because she crochets, she sews, she gardens, like she does all of those things. So yeah, I owe it to her. And here's that picture of me and all my cousins. The next day was great because my family hadn't gotten all together in a while, just the four of it, like my immediate family. It's me, my parents, and my sister. So it was just really nice to spend time with just the four of us. We took some pictures and I took my parents to a CBD store for the first time. I told them about how sometimes eating some gummies is nice and relaxing. And they said they wanted to give it a try. So no time like the present. And my sister's vegan, so we went to a vegan restaurant. That was really, really good. And then there was just like really pretty flowers at that vegan restaurant. Of course, can't go to Florida without going to Publix and getting a pub sub. And then my mom was taking a line dancing class, and so she showed me her line dancing, and so I did it with her, and it was really fun. The next day was literally just flying home. So I just took all of my stickers, put them all here. The most annoying part is that now, can you see that? Yeah, it's a little folded, but it's fine, still looks great. And then I just took some scrapbook paper I had to talk about going home. And that is January in my Hobonichi, which is kind of crazy to think about that it was so long ago at this point, but also feels like yesterday. I had a really good time looking back at these memories, and I just love that with journaling, you can look back and actually see everything that you did. I would have forgotten literally almost all of the things that I just talked about if I didn't have it written down in my journal. Hope you liked it. And if you did, like, subscribe, and comment down below any ideas that you have for me. Hope you have a great day, and wherever you are, have fun.